Salam alaikum. Hello everyone. Welcome back to the part 2, that is the writing part or the free response question, that's called FRQ, for the EOT exam questions. This is for grade 12 advance, and the writing part for you guys is from question number 16 to question number 20. Please make sure you write everything in detail. Write the given, write the formulas, solve, do the steps. This is very, very important to write everything and then get the answer. Some of the problems can be done directly in calculator method. You can only use that to check your answer. But if you directly write the answer from calculator method, you will not get the entire marks. So please make sure you write each steps in detail. Even if you have forgotten some steps, don't worry. Try to understand what's going on. Try to continue from where you can and write things in detail. This is very important. Now we'll begin. Before we begin, I just want to quickly remind you, if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, please do consider subscribing it. It's this link over here, or you can scan this QR code. It would mean so much to me, and I appreciate and thank all the subscribers, all the support which I've already received. Thank you so much, guys. We will move on to the first question in the writing part. That is question number 16. We have to use the squeeze theorem to find limits and find limits at infinity and limits that are infinite. So there are two different types of questions. The squeeze theorem is an important one. Here you can see this. There's a question given to you and we have to apply squeeze theorem. But before that, I'll just tell a little bit about squeeze theorem. Now, let me write it out over here. Imagine you have been given this function, right? F of x. Okay. No, wait. Sorry. This is. Let us consider this as anything. Okay. G of x, because f of x and h of x is already given over here. So we are considering it to be g of x. The condition is g of x must be less than or equal to the function h of x, a greater function, and that must be greater than or less than another function h of x. Now this is the condition. See, that's already given. This g of x is the given to us, x squared sine 1 by x. That is in between f of x and h of x. In such cases, if at all we apply limits to all, let's first apply the limits to the outer functions. If we apply limit to any point, whichever point is specified in the question, it can vary, say f of x, and this also over here, limit as x tends to the same point where we are applying limit, a itself. It can be any number, 2, 0, 5 or anything, okay? Now here it's h of x. Okay, this thing. If these two are equal, okay, say any number, these two are equal to, say I will write it as m. Then this g of x, right, when we take limit to the same point as x tends to a, must be equal to the same value m, because this is equal to m, this is equal to m, that is the lower and the higher functions. Then this point must be equal to that point. That is about squeeze theorem. That's the thing, because you're squeezing this in between the two functions, and when you take the limit, this must be the answer. And if you look at the graphs, it's like squeezed up graphs, say like these difficult functions are being used by squeeze theorem, because it's very hard for us to find the limit for these directly. So now then, let's use the concept over here. There are a few things over here. See, this x squared is a polynomial. So leave that, multiply it later on. See what is sine, like the base function, okay? Really, we should know a basic thing of splitting the function. Now, if it's x squared sine 1 by x. So use this function, because we know the range of this function. The range is very, very important. We need to write the range. And one more thing, in the question they have already mentioned, look here, the limit of this function f of x, lower function with the higher function, is equal. Then we can apply squeeze theorem with the statement. Okay. Now here we need to know the range of sine. What is the range of sine? It is, what power is this? It's 1, 1, 3, 5, all the odd powers, the range is same. My even if it's cos also is the same thing, 1 and 1. It can be only with 1 and 1. If you go to Desmos and graph it, you will realize, oh, okay, the graphs only go from 1 to 1. Okay. Now then, this sine 1 by x must be greater than negative 1 but less than 1, isn't it? Then here we have not multiplied the x square, isn't it? So what do we have to do? We have to multiply this x square throughout. We can't just do it over here. Now the range changes because x square is there. So now you have to multiply x square throughout this particular equation. In the sense, here it will be minus x square less than or equal to sine 1 by x was given already. Now you multiplied x squared. That is our question. Okay, the polynomial part we multiplied and over here it's x squared. Now then what we do, what is the limit they have specified? At x tends to 0, and you are supposed to find at that point only, because you can't have different values here, because the squeeze theorem clearly states all the limiting point must be same, right? So now just find the limits everywhere. If I do limit as x tends to 0, here what is the function? It is minus x square less than or equal to, over here also limit as x tends to 0, x square sine 1 by x as less than limit. I'm just writing this because it's all writing parts, so we can write it in detail. Okay, we are just taking limit everywhere. Now you don't know the limit over here, don't find the limit, but you can check it and calculate it later on, but that do not need to be written. What is the answer here? Limit, substitute 0. It's very simple polynomial. It's 0 over here, and over here what's the answer? 0. And over here the middle one will be limit x tends to 0, x square sine 1 by x. Didn't you get the answer now? It's 0, isn't it? Now before this you can write this, but then there is one more step required. You have to mention, see this, whatever is written, because this is f of x, right? F of x, h of x. So just mention this part. Okay, I'll write it. Limit as tends to 0 f of x is equal to, they have already mentioned, and yes, we got the same thing, h of x, okay, is equal to 0. Therefore, from squeeze theorem, I'll just write from squeeze theorem, what you do is limit x tends to 0, x square sine 1 by x will be equal to 0. So this is enough, I believe. This is basically squeeze theorem. Now personally, if I was correcting, if I have seen this, I would give you full marks because that's the answer. Now let's look into the, okay, use numerical. See, now this is the formula method. Okay, this is what is technically what is really a squeeze theorem. Now in the solution set, they have given you the graph, this thing. Graph, practically it's not possible to do it, you know. If you ask me to graph, it will take me ages. I mean, taking this, it's crazy. I would just not do that. This is the main part. Okay, now this must be there. This is what is exactly squeeze theorem, what we just now did over here and over here, right? So I will just mark the steps. You can just go and watch the video in sequence. You'll understand. This was step 1, 2, 3. This can be written later also, but just write it. 4, 5, 6 is this, and lastly 7. Okay, 7 steps are there. Now see, there are some steps which you can skip. This you do not need to write, you can directly write, but if you understood the problem, you write it out, it's fine, you know. If you understood, yes, this is understood, easily understandable. So that's the thing. And now let's go through the solution part. This much is more than enough. The final answer is 0, and you can see the answer over here is also 0. Okay, now let me explain you what this is exactly. Here basically you're taking x values or x square values, and no, it should be practically x values, solving for it, put in radian mode, solve the values. Different x values. See, it's because squeeze theorem is a very, it's not like 1, 2, 3. It's very, very tiny, isn't it? So it's all 0.1 and so on. So you're taking small numbers, left of 0, right of 0. And then you're finding this and you can plot this curve. But honestly speaking, this graph would just be too much. It's just crazy, okay? But I believe that they are going to ask you the numerical evidence. Now here they have not done much. They have directly given you the answers, in the sense they have just told this is x squared. Why? Let f of x is minus x squared. Why do you get that? It's not clearly mentioned. They have just told, okay, from squeeze theorem, this is the thing. So that's why please follow this. Why we are getting x minus x squared and x squared? Because the range of sine 1 by x is minus 1 and 1. And then we have to multiply the polynomial part. And this is the given question. Now then you have to apply the limit both the sides, all the sides, and then find the limit at the lower function and the higher function. And if those two are equal, then the middle part must be equal to that. That is the point of the squeeze theorem. I hope this is clear. So that's it. We will now go to the next problem. Now try to do it by yourselves. Oh, by the way, it's secant. Now, if this is asked for me, I would just not do it because secant graphs are very crazy graphs. But they're telling why can't you use squeeze theorem? That means you can't. Yeah, you just can't. Look at the graphs. It's very, very hard to specify or find it. Whereas they have what they are mentioned over here is it first thing, it's not bounded by anything. Whereas sine graph, what was sine graph? It was always bounded. So it was bounded like this, right? There was a range to it. But this is not bounded, it goes to infinity. So it's basically, you cannot do it, and there are infinitely many vertical asymptotes approaching as x is 0. But don't worry, this should not be asked. But even if they ask you to just tell it's not bounded by any certain specific region. Over here, sine and cos graphs are bounded by this minus 1 to 1. We had applied just a while ago. See, minus 1 to 1. It's bounded over there, but this is not. That's why. But I don't think so this will be asked. Let's see. This might be asked. It's cos squared. But there is one important thing to do over here. What is the range of cos squared? Think for a while. Range of cos square is cos square 1 by x is not minus 1 to 1 because it's squared. You can't have negative value, right? Here it becomes 0 to 1. That's the only thing. Okay. And again, they have not mentioned that at all. So let's do it in writing because that is not good enough, whatever is there in the solution part. So follow what I'm doing now. And this can be related and you can solve any other problems as well. Here, the range of cos square 1 by x is, it should be less than or equal to 1 or greater than or equal to 0. So how would you find the range? You can either graph or you should just remember whenever it's even powers, this is the range, okay? For cos, sine 1 by x, cos square. Sorry, it's not cos sine, it's cos square sine x square or to the power 4 or any even powers, okay? Now then, this is it. But look over here, there is root x. So what you must do is you have to multiply root x on both the sides, all the sides, sorry. That time you will get this given question. And this is a squeeze theorem. See, they have told f of x is less than or equal to this given function and h of x is greater than that. And the limits of both those at 0 plus is 0. I'll tell you why this plus will be there. I think so because it's square root, Otherwise, the limit does not exist. But let's solve it in a minute. Then we will come to know in a minute. After this step, this is the given formula. What we do here is multiply root x throughout. So root x multiplied by 0. It will be 0, but still just multiply it. Here, root x into cos square 1 by x less than or equal to root x times 1 is root x itself. Now, let's do it anyways. So this is what you do. You multiply root x, this polynomial part, throughout. Now then, solve it. This is 0 less than or equal to root x cos square 1 by x less than or equal to root x. Now let me do little variation. Let me directly apply this, the formula. See, now I'm just, okay, they are telling you to justify. I thought this is given in the question. If this is already given in the question, this and this is 0, that means this middle part is equal to 0. You don't even need to do anything. But since they have told justify, you need to make sure you solve it up, okay, like this. And now you're taking limit. Just take limits on this and this. Now the ends, okay, limit as x tends to 0 plus of 0 is equal to what? Limit of this is 0 itself. Now take the limit over here. Limit, this is just a little bit of variation from the last problem. You can have a little bit variation. You have the freedom to do that. It's up to you however you write it. As long as you know the concept and write correctly, it's fine. Now this is limit as x tends to 0 plus root x. What is the limit? Here, why there is no 0? Why it is 0 plus? Because if you imagine you just take 0, what happens? From the left side, this is undefined. So there is no limit. Limit does not exist. Here, because there is root x, you can't have x values less than 0. It must be greater than 0. Okay? That's the reason. And also about the continuity, it is not continuous and differentiable if it's not greater than 0. Now anyways, here what will happen? From plus it will be 0 itself. So these two are same, right? Here now you write since limit as x tends to 0 from the plus side, this 0 is what? F of x, okay? F of x. Because we have done this, it's understood. Oh, one more thing. You can write one more part, the given part. This is given in the question. Sorry, I forgot to write this. Here you need to just write root x. So just write the question as well, okay? H of x. So even in the previous question, please do mention this part. That is the given. Whatever is given, first write that out. And then, we are starting to solve. Cos square 1 by x, the range we write, we multiply by root x and get this function. And then we start simplifying with squeeze theorem. It's very simple once you understand the concept. Since this limit, f of x, is equal to the limit as x tends to 0 from the positive side. For what now? It is for h of x, this next function, is equal to 0. Therefore, from squeeze theorem, we must have what? The limit as x tends to 0 plus. This is the question we are finding. As x tends to 0 plus of root x cos square 1 by x is equal to what? 0. That's it. So this is the answer. If you write so much, you have to get full marks. Don't go to graph it because you'll be there in the entire exam then. 1.5 hours for graph. I'm just saying that, it's not required. The examiner will understand. It's really show graphically. I have just no clue why they're asking you to show graphically. If you have a graphing calculator, it's fine. You can get the graph. But otherwise, it's very hard, it's not impossible. You can do it. Obviously, it's possible to do it, but it'll take so much time that I personally would not graph it. Even if I'm going to lose marks, it's fine. But I would just write this and move on to the other problems. Okay, and if you have so much time remaining, then try graphing it if there's mentioned it. I hope that's clear. And this is the answer. Please pause the video and see. Now I will write this step point wise, which was the first step. Here, this will be the first step. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then 7 is this one, since 8 is together, this 8 and 9 is together. So that is the steps you need to write. If you write so much, you must get full marks. And the answer is yes, it's 0. Now I was telling you can do it in calculator method, right? Yes, we will. I'll just show you what's the answer. Just take out your calculators and let's check. Here what you do is, say the given question. Let's type it as it is. That is root alpha x multiplied by cos 1 by x, 1 by alpha x, close the bracket. And now you need to square the entire function, because when it is cos square, that means the entire term is squared. Okay, let me just square it up over here. That's the answer. Now if you just press equal to, it doesn't make any sense. If you press calc and 0.001, still you will not get the answer. This is okay, it's almost correct, but really it's not. Why? Because cos is there. So shift mode and make it to radian. And now calc at 0.001. Okay, what happened? Calc 0.01. Let me just take small values. Yes, you're getting 0.07. Let me take a bit more value, 0.001. Yeah, you're getting now. If you just keep on increasing it, 0.00, as you increase, so you can see it is becoming more and more zero. It's 0.0009. That means it's corresponding to 0. That's why we can take the answer as 0. But this is just to check. And here, you don't even need to check. I just realized when I was solving the problems, the value is given. You have to just justify by writing. So that means the answer is already told. It's 0. Doesn't make sense by using calculator because it's already told what's the answer. You're justifying this. The steps what I had done, right? These steps justify your answer. This is how you justify it. Okay? And now on, please do try to solve these problems by yourselves because we have already solved the similar ones. Let's quickly see this. Suppose f of x is bounded by bounded, that is, there exists a constant m such that f of x is less than or equal to m. For x, use squeeze theorem to prove that x square of f of x is 0. Okay, now the most important part is they have told constant m. So constant means whatever happens will be 0, right? So all you do is do the squeeze theorem. See, over here it's written. Okay, this one is written in detail. Now, f of x and x squared is there. But they have clearly mentioned the modulus of f of x less than or equal to m. That means f of x is less than or equal to positive m and greater than or equal to negative m, isn't it? Because that's modulus thing. It must be greater than, see this m, right? Let's write less than or equal to. Let's take the modulus out. Let's write only the function. But it must be greater than or equal to minus m. Now all you do is multiply x squared. Now multiply x squared throughout. Why? Because this is what the question is. So if you multiply x squared, it will be minus mx squared less than or equal to x squared f of x less than or equal to. I'm writing this m first because it's the constant. It's just a number like 2, 3, 4 like that. Or 1, minus 1, plus 1 like that. Okay. If this is 1, this is also 1 only. But it will be only sign difference. Now then, what you have to do? Take the limit of this at x square, right? Take limit. Both the sides. Now this side I'll take the first limit. Limit as x tends to 0 for minus mx square. What is the value? This is a constant. This will be 0. Its answer is 0. Now limit as x tends to 0 for the right side. Mx square. It's the same thing. It will be 0 because this is a constant. Now are these two equal? Yes. So you just write limit as x tends to 0 from minus mx square is equal to the limit as x tends to 0 from positive mx square. Don't you think? They are. So this is equal. So now what do we write? From squeeze theorem, this, the limit at x, whatever is given over here, is equal to 0. This must be written. But just write from squeeze theorem. Why? Because this is the lower function, greater function, and we found it out. So yeah, from squeeze theorem it is proved. Just write from squeeze theorem and this statement, whatever is given in the question, that is basically proved. I hope this is clear. Now in the previous ones we had to know the range. If this is a constant, it's very easy. You're just writing this constant and solving, right? There's nothing much. Now we move on to the 37th problem. This one is an important problem. Here, first of all, when you look at this, what do you see? You see a rational function, right? Let's solve this. How would you solve this? So always try to keep the polynomial outside. We can multiply that later. That's fine. but keep the rational other side. So the first step over here to solve this would be, what I would do is write, we have to use squeeze theorem to prove. So what I would do is I'll write 1 by x squared plus 1 and write the range for this. What is the possible range for 1 by x squared plus 1? Let's take any number, it will be greater than or equal to 0 and it will be less than or equal to what? 1. It should be less than or equal to 1. That is, if x is 0. Now, I will prove this by taking the calculator because it's easy to show you. Let's take out our calculators and let's understand this. Here, let's write this in the form of x itself. 1 divided by alpha x squared plus 1. Now, take any value for x. Let's start with 0. What is the answer? It's 1. Let's start with anything else, say 0.5. 4 by 5, that is 0.8. You can think of any number and just type it in your calculator. This is again 0.000. It's less than 1, but greater than 0. Can you have negative numbers? Let's take minus 5. Still it's positive. What's happening? Look, the variable is squared, so it doesn't matter it's negative or positive, it gets squared and it will become a positive value and it should be greater than 0. There is no way you'll get a negative value. And since it's divided by 1, doesn't matter how big this number is, it gets smaller. So when you divide any number by a big number, what happens? It gets, answer is very small. The same way, if you divide 1 by a very small number, very small number, say 0.00, it gets a big number, right? But here, what is happening? X squared plus this number, so it doesn't matter what is being, let's say for example, we'll take a very small number over here, but since you're dividing it by 1 and plus 1, see, let me take a very small number, 0. So much, okay, square, but since you're adding that small number to 1, doesn't matter what, it will be 1 point something. So it will be very close to 1 itself. It can never ever exceed. Now, if you understand the rational functions, when you look at this, you should realize, okay, the range is 0 to greater than 0, less than 1. We have by hearted that, but this is the way to understand. Why? Because it doesn't matter which value you put over here in this case, it will be in this range itself. Okay? So that's the reason why, we did that for a while just now. I hope this is clear now. So this is the range. Now what next? We have to multiply this 2x cube, right? So multiply 2x cube, the polynomial part, both the sides. 2x cube multiplied by 0 less than or equal to 2x cube by x squared plus 1 less than or equal to 2x cube. Now we have 2x cube here, here and over here. Now let's solve it. Here it will be 0 less than or equal to 2x cube by x squared plus 1 less than or equal to 2x cube itself. Here it was multiplied by 1. It will be the same thing. Now take the limits. Limit for the left side as x tends to 0 for 0. Oh, I forgot to write the formula. Let's take f of x less than or equal to this particular question, that is 2x cube by, that's the given, okay? Just write this given all the time. You can write h of x because we were using h of x, or g of x, anything, doesn't matter. So this is the given formula. This question is greater than or equal to f of x and less than or equal to h of x. What is this f of x and h of x? The range 0 and 1. And then we solve it, okay? This is just like a formality. But even if you write from here, you should get marks, okay? But just write it because this is technically a part. Because in the answer key, if that is printed and if the teacher is correcting it and if you're missing, there might be chances that you might lose a mark. So please try to write this as well, okay? Now here, limit as x tends to 0. What's going to happen? It's 0. Limit as x tends to 0 for 2x cube. What happens? Again, it's 0 itself. So even positive negative will be 0 itself. Now this is equal to 0 then. Therefore, from squeeze theorem, what's happening? This is proved, okay? Now you have to write one more statement. Let me just write it. After this, from squeeze theorem, Since we have written all this, it's understood over here. Limit as x tends to 0 for 2x cubed by x squared plus 1 will be equal to 0, because the limits over here tend to 0. And that's the answer, you can see. And you can see over here they have taken x squared by x squared plus 1. Doesn't matter. Why? Because this is also a rational function. It will be within 0 and 1. Okay, the range does not change. Then they have taken modulus over here. Why? Because they're multiplying. Okay, why is this done like this? The answer, whatever you wrote over here is correct itself, but I'll tell you why over here they have done like this. See, x square, what happens? Because x square is there, we are taking x square over here also. Doesn't matter what, it will be a positive number. Don't you agree? Take anything, negative or positive, will be positive. But this one, x, can be negative or positive. Because x domain, the range is 0 to 1, but the domain is all possible real numbers, right? So it can be minus or plus. So here, they have multiplied 2x and 2x. Why? Because initially they have considered this over here and then multiplied x. It's fine, you will get the same answer, but it's just that they have taken the x square already initially, because that's a part of rational function, and then they multiplied the x, and the modulus denotes it can be positive or negative over here, positive or negative, because the square only positive part. That's how we can do it. And then now we come to the limits part. This is very simple, very easy. If it was in the calculator, you can directly put it and do it. But now, since we have to solve it, let's try to write the steps down and then solve it up. I hope you recall the few formulas which we had regarding the infinity. So the most important formula is 1 by x. When the limit of x is infinity, what happens? You can try it in calculator. Divide 1 by a very, very huge number. It's almost 0. But we just take it as 0. Limit is always 0 for 1 by x. So here, looking at this problem, I know the answer is 1 by 3. Just by looking. Why? Because the highest degree over here is x power 2. Here also x power 2. So see the coefficient. It's 1 by 3. That's it. Now, if you're very bold enough, you can do this. The highest coefficients, highest degree, okay? Highest degree, both sides, both numerator and denominator is x power 2. That's 2. Degree is 2. Okay, degree is 2. Therefore, x square by 3x square tends to 1 by 3. This is the answer. There is some rule or some formula. It's done in the lessons in the first lesson. I think so. I've talked about this. It'll just be the leading coefficients of the highest degrees. That's the answer. Technically, when we correct the papers, doesn't matter which method you do, as long as you have done a written method and it's a proper method, you should get answer. This must give you the correct answer, but since it's just 2 lines, I would prefer you not to do this. What is the actual method? It's basically see what's the highest degree, divide throughout that by that same number. Here, the highest degree is what? X square. So divide this by x square, even over here divided by x square. And what happens now? Here it will be x squared by x square plus 3x by x square minus 2 by x square. The whole thing divided by this denominator term, 3x squared by x squared plus 4x by x square minus 1 by x square. Now then, let's simplify. What happens when you simplify? X square cancels. You're remaining with the leading 1 over here. And this x and square cancels. You're remaining with plus 3 by x minus 2 by x square. Divided by this is 3. Here the x cancels with this. Plus 4 by x minus 1 by x square. Now we apply the rule limit. Let's apply the limit as it goes to infinity. As tends to, this was a simplification. You can write the limit, doesn't matter, but you're just simplifying it. X tends to infinity is equal to here, even over here. Limit as x tends to infinity. Now limit as x tends to infinity for 1 by x or x squared is equal to 0. Therefore, over here, apply the limit. What happens? You will remain with 1 by 3 and it will be plus limit x tends to, this is a constant so it doesn't matter. Okay, this is going to be too long. You're just writing limit over here, but instead of that directly you can write this, right? You can just directly apply infinity instead of x. It'll be 3 by infinity minus 2 by infinity the whole square divided by, sorry, it's 1 over here. I've written 1 by 3 directly. It's 1. Let's write the numerator separately. Plus 4 by infinity minus 1 by infinity the whole square. That is equal to, this becomes 0. 1 plus 0 minus 0 divided by 3 plus 0 minus 0. It's a 1 by 3. Look, I would never do all these steps in detail. It's understood from here only. I would jump over here and directly do it. But since it's writing, it's better to do this step 1. Sorry, this is 1. This will be 2, 3, 4, 5, and lastly the answer is 6, and you will get full marks. It's very simple. The same method is going on for all the other problems. You can just do them by yourselves, but it's just that it's just, writing. That's what it is. And over here also they have done, see, they have done a bit shorter method, I guess. See over here, just follow this method also. But what I did is also the same thing in detailed writing. You can pause the video now and see this is very simple as well. Whatever is the highest degree, just divide. Over here also, just divide by x squared throughout. You will be remaining with the leading coefficients of the highest degree, and over here everywhere the x will be in the denominator. That means you're dividing everything by infinity. When you're dividing everything by infinity, it will be 0. Gone. These all terms are gone. Only remaining is 1/3. Just by looking at this term, you can tell it's 1/3, or even at the question only. Even you can check your answer. Let's check our answers by using the calculator now. Let's just put this in the equation calculator over here. It's alpha x squared plus 3 alpha x minus 2 divided by 3 alpha x squared plus 4 alpha x minus 1 calc. And what is the infinity value? It is a huge number, so I'll just type some 999s. What's the answer? 1/3 or 0.3333. So 1 divided by 3 is always 0.333. That's it. Just to check your answer, you can use the calculator. Here, answer is 2 by 4 or 1 by 2 or 0.5, half it is. So let's look into the answers here. See, they have done all this. Okay, they have done directly also, but if you understand it, then just do the extra steps as well. It doesn't matter. Now let's look into this particular problem. This one is pretty straightforward. We have just done it a while ago, same way. But here we are minus infinity. And your square root as well. There are various ways to do this problem. Now, which one? I will tell you the easy method, but let me just tell you a few things. Look at the square root. What is that? Let's forget the constant term for a while. Let's just take x squared. This is equal to plus or minus x, isn't it? Basically like modulus x, absolute value x. Absolute value in this sense, what happens? There are two cases, two conditions like a piecewise equation. It will be positive x when x value is greater than or equal to 0, and it will be minus x when x value is less than 0. Is that okay? And now when we solve this, when we take it out, we can see it will be minus, what is the x value? It's minus infinity, sorry. And since it's minus x, so it is x less than 0. That's the thing. But I will do another method because we need to simplify this as well. And that concept, about the minus x, I'll tell you in a while. Let's just simplify this. Minus x remains over here, square root. I need this to be dissolved because I need everything divided by x squared, right? So I have to divide, because this is x squared, I have to just divide by x squared. But can you just divide? If I have to divide over here, I have to divide everywhere, right? Instead of that, Let me divide both the sides, and outside let me multiply it. How about that? If you're thinking how this happens, see, it's basically just the square root. Focus on the square root. Divide by x squared divided by x squared. What is that? It's 1. I did not make any difference. And 4 plus x squared is already there. Now the denominator part, I take it inside. So what happens? X squared into 4 by x squared, distributive property, x squared by x squared, isn't it? So that's why I've written like this. Because I need to get this dissolved, and the x must be divided by, right, for infinity. Therefore, 4 by x squared plus x squared by x squared. And this is in division, so multiplication also must be done. This balanced now. Now, when we simplify this, what's going to happen? Minus x divided by root of x squared of what is this? It will be 4 by x squared plus 1, isn't it? Now here, take this x squared outside. What happens? It's plus or minus x square root outside the square root. This root square cancels with this root, and outside will be only plus or minus x. And what is remaining? 4 by x squared plus 1. Now, what do we consider? Plus or minus? Look at this. It's minus infinity, so it's the negative part of the x. Therefore, it's minus x. Now, cancel this and this. What is remaining? 1 by square root 4 by x squared plus 1. Now apply the limit. We have to write limit everywhere, okay, like this. Limit as x tends to infinity, minus infinity. The same thing must be over here, and over here. X tends to minus infinity. Now when we apply minus infinity, what happens? 4 by, doesn't matter positive or infinity, square is there, so it is just infinity. Let's write it minus infinity square. It will be positive only, okay? So it will be 1 divided by square root of 1 plus... now this is not 1. Sorry. What is 4 divided by infinity? It's 0 plus 1. That is 1 by square root 1. That is 1. Answer is 1. The answer should be 1. Let's just check answers. Yes, it is 1. 1 by root 1. Or you can just do it in the calculator to check the answer. You will get the correct answer. Same answer itself. Okay, not to worry. So that's the thing. Let's do it in the calculator and check as well. Now here they have not done so many steps. They have directly done it. But the concept is same. See, here they have taken this x square out and they have rearranged it. They have not done all the steps. But why did this minus x come? Sorry. The minus x is because over here it's minus infinity. Okay. Let's do this in calculator. Here, let me try this. Just put this terms as it is, minus alpha x divided by square root 4 plus alpha x square, and calculate. At minus infinity means minus a huge number. Answer is 1. If it was positive infinity, it will be a huge number only. It will be minus 1. Look, minus sign is there. So remember, if you are taken only positive x, the answer will be wrong. You will get minus 1, which is not correct. It should be minus x outside, minus minus cancels, and you will get positive answer. This one is simple, straightforward. Over here, since this x dominates, see, whatever happens, the degree is more, right? What will happen when the degree is more? Divide over here both by x square, over here by x cube. Ultimately, you will have 1 by x. Okay? So it will be, just say the degree over here. So ultimately, whatever happens, you will get 1 by x. So 1 by x is equal to 0. So that is the answer. It's 0. You can do the steps. We have done it earlier as well. Similar concepts. Please do go through these problems by yourselves. Oh, now we're here for the natural logarithm, trigonometry logarithm part. You can see that, see, x times sine x is there. What will happen if you apply the limit? Whatever this number, it will be, that same thing will happen, because if you apply 0 over here, because I can see over here it's ln x. So if you apply 0, it's going to be 0. Okay, so what happens is this entire thing dissolves to whatever is the x value. So we're writing L as x. So now if you know the natural logarithm graph, how does it look? It's something like this. It goes to infinity and something. It should not go to the left side. Sorry, there is no ln less than 0 or even equal to 0. Okay, you can't have this. So what happens is it is undefined at 0 somewhere over here. It goes towards infinity from the right side of 0. See, this is very important, that's mentioned plus. Okay, so why? Because it's minus infinity, it's downwards. Even if you know the graph, you can directly check your answers. So this is it. And over here, you can just apply the infinity. And we have done the similar thing before. Here, what happens? It'll just, see, now this is, here if you just look at the degree, which is the highest degree, x squared, so this is x, so no matter what, there will be x remaining. Just look at the highest degrees, x squared by x, so it is x, so ultimately this will be as x. Even if you do the rules, ultimately you should know it will be x. Divide everything, and what happens when you apply infinity? This is 0 0, this 1 remains, 1 by 1 by x. What happens? This goes up, it is equal to x by 1, or x. That's the thing. So that's how we get these answers. They are very simple. Please do try solving them by yourselves. The methods are there. Then most probably you'll be asked squeeze theorem, because these are not worthy for big question, or maybe you'll have different parts. A small, this one is a small answer you can directly do in 2 steps and then solve it up. All these were done even before, so please make sure you go through these, recall your memory. All the methods are there. Here for the cot inverse part, let's look at this one. What exactly is this cot inverse? They are telling cot inverse x as infinity. So cot inverse infinity means this is some angle x. Imagine some angle, sorry, not x, a. Okay. Infinity is equal to cot of a. So we are basically looking for an angle, because I'm taking cot on both the sides, I'm getting this, right? An angle. Which angle does the answer become infinity? At what angle A is the cot graph infinity? You should know the cot graph, cotangent. It is something like this. I mean, they go like this always. And I know that it is undefined at 0. How we can find it's undefined at 0? Cot is inverse of tan, right? Let's take out our calculators. Here, all you need to do is, I know I need to find a point where this is undefined. So cot and tan is inverse of each other. When is tan 0? At tan 0, it's 0 basically. So if I do cot 0 over here, that is 1 by tan 0. This is an undefined. Okay, math error. So basically I can tell the angle must be 0 over here. See, this is not given. It will be like this. Now I'm assuming a value equal to a, an angle. So then if I take this this side, I know I need to find an angle when cot is undefined. But if you remember the cot graph, it is at 0, you will have undefined. The starting at 0 only. Yeah, it's undefined. So that's basically the answer. You can just check the cot graph. The answer is 0. Same way, please do try the other problems. If it's an inverse reciprocal function, just remember this is inverse of 1 by cos. It's basically use 1 by cos and you'll get it. Same way, the methods are there. They are simple and straightforward. Try to, understand, apply by yourselves and check for the answers over here. And here as well. Similarly, you can solve these problems as well. Do it and then check the answers. You can even check your answers by using the calculator method. Directly substitute. All the limits can be substituted. For infinity or minus infinity, use the appropriate number. For infinity, a huge number, 9999. Minus infinity, negative 999. Same way over here. The steps are there. These are very direct ones because there's no much steps in this. Very straightforward ones. But try to write it out, make any substitution steps, and then also you can even just substitute, do the substitution steps or divide it by this power, this term, just simple steps. In this problem, we have been given this equation and we have been told to multiply and divide by the conjugate expression and simplify. So basically, conjugate is something that is of opposite sign. You can see the sign differs over here. The first term and the second term is the same. We have to just multiply and divide and then simplify. Let's just do that. So it's square root 4x squared minus 2x plus 1 minus 2x. When you multiply and divide by this term, that is square root 4x squared minus 2x plus 1 plus 2x, by the same thing here also, minus 2x plus 1 plus 2x. Here what happens is, this is basically balanced. If you cancel these both, it's 1. So you're not doing anything wrong. But here I just realized that I've written the square root a bit incorrectly. The square root is only for the first part, not the second part. Here I can use the sum of squares of difference, in the sense x plus a, x minus b, x minus a, sorry. The formula is given as x squared minus a squared. I can apply that formula here. So the first term gets squared. That means square and square root cancel. So it will be 4x squared minus 2x plus 1. And then minus the second term. What happens this term? This also gets squared. That will be 2x the whole square, that is 4x squared. Okay, I'm just writing it directly because it's x plus a, x minus a. I'll just denote it. See over here, x minus a, we have first x plus a. So this is the formula. It will be x squared, the first term square, minus the second term square is 4x squared. So I will have to write minus 4x squared. Now this and this cancels and the denominator remains same. Over here we have 4x squared minus 2x plus 1, and outside the square root we have plus 2x. Now you need to just remove the x, so divide throughout by x, and then you can easily simplify it. Now it's again same step, I think. So let's just check the steps over here. It's the same. Yeah, it's already done the same thing. So I'll just show you over here. Now the first part is not done, only this part is not done. Remember, write this term, multiply and divide by this. They have told in the hint, right? Multiply and divide by the conjugate. And then what you basically do over here is use the identity. This is a difference of squares. A square minus b square. Over here we have x plus ax minus b will be x square minus a square. So the first term squared, this we got, minus the second term squared, we got this. The 4x square and cancels, and you're remaining with, see over here, what is remaining? This term. I'll just remove that. Minus 2x plus 1 divided by root of 4x squared minus 2x plus 1 plus 2x. Now we know how we simplify. Technically, when we have this infinity, we don't keep it as multiple, we divide it, because 1 divided by infinity is 0, right? So remove this x. The highest degree is x, so remove throughout both the sides. What happens? It'll be minus 2 plus 1 by x. Over here the x is gone. Here when you multiply this x inside the square root, it becomes x square. Look, you're multiplying this x inside the square root. See why? Because if it's inside the square root, when we take it out, it becomes only 1. But now when you multiply it inside, say x is multiplied inside, it should be x squared. Okay, because you have a square root outside to balance it off. So that's why it became, when you multiply this x inside, it will be divided by 1 by x squared. Okay, so this basically over here, if you just look here, this x is multiplied. So in the square root, what happens is 4x squared divided by x squared minus 2x by x squared plus 1 by x squared. And therefore you are remaining with 1 plus x squared minus 2. These are the things. Now just apply the infinity everywhere. All this becomes 0, 0, 0, whatever is having divided by x. The remaining terms are minus 2, square root of 4, all the others are 0, plus 2. So it will be minus 2 divided by 2 plus 2, that is minus 2 by 4, or negative half. Minus. So that's the answer. This is very simple. It's just algebraic substitution and solving. Here also it's the same thing. Please multiply and divide by the conjugate. Use the rule. I'll write it again. You can even consider it to be a plus b, a minus b. That is a square minus b square. So please use this rule and then easily simplify it. Whatever is having divided by x, when you apply infinity, it becomes 0, 0, everywhere 0. Even if it's minus infinity also, it becomes 0. So that is the answer, and that's the end. It's been a long question number 16, because there are various types. Please do focus more on squeeze theorem. Most probably that will be coming, because that is a very important one. It's a very simple one as well. So please do focus on that. And the limits, you can do it and check the answers and calculate as well.